Today is March 5th, Wednesday, and today I learned that when you have a problem, right, when something wrong happens, when you have some kind of thing that you're trying to fix, you really just need to attack that problem and just go really hard on it and really just like attack it and obliterate it, especially if it's like important, right? Silence encourages bad behavior. So in the same way, not working on something chooses that something. There was this quote I heard that was, if you're not changing it, you're choosing it. And so if you're complaining about something, or if there's something wrong and you know it's wrong, but if you're not changing it, you're choosing it. If you're not actively attacking the problem and actively trying to fix this thing, fix this problem, whatever, then you're choosing it. You have to be active about it. And I talked about being active versus passive in a recent video. So just think about, like, what do you know you're doing wrong or something like that? Like, what is a problem you know you have that you keep complaining about and like worrying about? And are you actually changing it? Because if you're not, then you're choosing it. So like a lot of times I'll complain about like my school, right? But I'm not changing, because really the root of it is I'm just procrastinating a lot. And I'm not using the correct learning systems. I'm not using the right techniques and stuff. And so I'm really just choosing it. I'm not changing my behavior, so I'm really just choosing it, right? So just think about, what are you complaining about? And if you're not changing it, then you're choosing it. So you should, honestly, just in general, there should never be a reason to complain about anything, because if it's in your control, then you need to change it. And if it's not in your control, then why are you complaining about it? Like, you can't do anything about it, so you might as well just not do anything about it, right? I've just been realizing that there's so many things that I'm stressed about. Well, yeah, I'm stressed about in my life, but really, like, they're in my control, and I can do so much to change my behavior, but I'm not, and so I'm technically choosing it. I just think that this is just a very true statement, and if you are trying to change it, that's kind of like knowledge to action. Think about the inputs, outputs, break it down step by step, right? What is the next step to changing your behavior in this way? If it's a habit, think about the cue, craving, response, reward cycle. There's so much information out there about changing your behavior. But first of all, you have to realize that you need to change the behavior. You need to realize that what you're doing is wrong. You need to realize that there's a problem, and that requires examination of the situation. But also you need to want to change it, right? You need to realize it's a problem and realize that it's a big enough problem that you need to change it, right? And I think that those are things that are not talked about enough. A lot of like information out there is like how to change your life, right? How to change your life in 2025, how to blah, 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 right? But not enough is talked about like why we need to change our life, why this thing is wrong, why we need to actually take action on this, right? And often you just have to figure that out for yourself. Not only do you need to figure out how to change this certain behavior, let's take scrolling for an example. Let's say I know scrolling is bad and I'm procrastinating on it, it's all bad or whatever. So I know it's bad, but if I'm not, and I complain about it a lot, I'm like, oh, I'm so terrible, I'm scrolling all the time, blah, blah, blah. But if I'm not changing it, then I'm choosing it. So first of all, well, not first of all, but I need to change that behavior, right? And I know I need to change that behavior, right? And I know how to change that behavior. I can, not have my phone on me all the time, and you can set up the restrictions on like the screen time and like the special apps, and I can, have specific whys for why I'm doing, for why I need to do the thing that I'm procrastinating. I have all the knowledge, and I have videos about all this knowledge of how to change your behavior with these things. But you also have to realize that like why we actually need to change, because you could probably get by scrolling every single day, right? And still just get by. But you need to change that behavior because first of all, it's making you miserable. Second of all, you're not using the best use of time. And it talks about in Ephesians 5 how you should be making the best use of time. It's making you miserable. It talks about it in the Bible how you should be making the use of time. And you're not fulfilling your potential. And that's the biggest one for me. That's why I want to change so much. Like I feel like there's so much potential. I just want to fill that, right? So you need to like really have a true why. Like you could get by probably without changing your behavior, but you really need to make sure it's a strong enough why to change that behavior. And the biggest one for me is like looking at Bible verses, and also, like I said, I'm trying to fulfill my potential kind of thing, right? But also you need to realize that like when you're trying to find a why, you're trying to make that thing big and make other things small, right? So you need to elevate it in a way. So you're elevating the badness of this thing that you're trying to not do, right? That kind of thing. So yeah, I just think that that is not talked about enough, because there's so much information about how to do things, but not enough is about why we do things. And I honestly think that's why like the Bible and like Christianity is so important, because it gives you that why. It gives you a why to do the right things, right? Because a lot of times we don't have a why for that, and it can be hard to take action on something that we don't have a purpose for. Also, like I talk about the why, the what, and the how. That's the why and the how, but then the what, right? So we need to define like, what is this thing? What is the problem, right? What is the problem? What is this thing we're complaining about? What is it? Like to its core, right? To its core, what am I doing? So like, I'm not just scrolling. I'm avoiding my responsibilities because I don't want to do them, because I don't have a desire to do them, because I don't find them interesting and I don't find them purposeful. Like you can get down. So you have to figure out the what. You feel like, what are you actually doing here? Not only is just like the action of scrolling, but like yes, you can I feel like putting restrictions on your phone and like putting in a different room, I feel like those are kind of band-aid solutions, right? But if you get down to the true core of it, like why are you actually procrastinating? Because this thing that I like is not interesting to me and I don't find it purposeful. Okay, so how can we fix that part of it? That's kind of the core of it. Because if you fix that, then you won't want to procrastinate. You won't need to procrastinate, right? So just think about the why, the what, and the how with your problems. Figure out not only, like there's so much information about how to change your life, how to fix these problems, right? But you also, it's really important to figure out the what, like what is the core? What is the core of this problem, and how can you fix that core so that it doesn't result in, you know, further up the chain, more destruction? But also why, like why is this actually a thing you need to fix? Because you could probably get by without fixing it. So why do you need to fix this, right? Why do you need to fix this right now? So that is what I learned today. If you're not changing it, you're choosing it. And you need to make that change. And you need to know why you're making that change. And you need to know how you're making that change and making the right change. So that's what I learned today. If you found this video helpful, I'd love a like and a comment. This is the video that I posted yesterday where I talked about kind of perseverance and James 1, 2 through 4. You can subscribe in that corner. And if you subscribe, I will see you in tomorrow's video. Bye.